Enjoy a safe, fun sporting experience at Wild West Shooting Center. Fire real bullets with real guns with our friendly range staff. Open late 7 days a week in Phase 4 West Edmonton Mall.
I don't mind. I'm designed to work this way like this. Poke them, stick them, cut them. You can do whatever you want to with it.
Hi, my name is Gil Guerra Jr. My alias is Cisco. I've been shooting fast draw professionally for over 30 years, and I've got 6 years in cowboy action shooting. My goal in this video is to give you a brief look at the fastest sport in the world, the sport of fast draw. In the video, I'll go through equipment, ammunition, targets, timers, and of course the 4 basic styles. I'll also introduce to you training techniques that I've used over the years that have helped me to compete successfully. And in the end of the video, my partner Ken and I will demonstrate just how fast a single action can be shot accurately. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to give credit to the man who started it all, the person we call the father of fast draw, Mr. D. Wolum.
How you doing?
How you doing, D?
Fine, thank you. You know, it's a real pleasure to be asked to introduce this video. Fast draw has taken all my time for quite a few years. And now at 78 years old, I spend all my time wishing that I was just young enough to do it all over again. So let's get rid of all the small talk and get on with making this great video. Thank you very much for listening.
Let's talk about fast draw guns. While Colts and Colt clones can be used in fast draw, the gun of choice seems to be the Ruger. This is a stock .357 single action Ruger. When I say single action, I mean the hammer must be cocked each and every time the gun is fired. This gun has front and rear sights, and the hammer is absolutely stock. This gun, after 15 hours of work, looks like this. This is a John Phillips competition-ready fast draw gun. As you can see, the barrel's been removed and replaced with a .45 caliber rifled aluminum barrel. The cylinder's been bored out to .45 to match the barrel. Some of the frame has been taken off the top in order to make the gun a little lighter and easier to fan. The hammer's been built up for the purpose of fanning also. The hammer can exceed no higher than a ½ inch from the top of the frame or to the left or the right, according to World's Fast Draw Association rules. The gun has been nickel plated to help prevent it from corroding because of black powder, and this gun has been tuned to such a fine degree that most shooters cannot shoot as fast as their gun can. This gun also comes with a thumbing type hammer, and in this particular case, this one is .38 caliber for wax bullets. I've seen Bill Oglesby take a Vaquero and do some incredible things with it, since these old Rugers are becoming more and more scarce. The new Vaqueros are very plentiful. Some other gunsmiths in the country that you can use would be Greg Danielson out of South Dakota, Bob Graham out of Austin, Texas, and Wes Flowers out of Tombstone, Arizona. Their information will be on the back of the video. Let's talk about holsters. Today I've got 3 holsters that I've chosen, even though there are a number of different holsters that you can use in the sport of fast draw. This one's called a Model 95. This is made by Ernie Hill International. It is made of double thick leather that's glued and stitched together. Inside the belt and the shank and the boot are all steel lined to maintain a consistent form, so your draw will be just as consistent. The inside of the holster is protected by what we call a shield. In the event of an accidental discharge right here, you won't blow the front of the holster up. Also, we have what we call an oh-oh or a chicken plate. This is to protect your jeans from an accidental discharge as well. Although we shoot nothing but blanks and wax bullets in the sport of fast draw, at close range these things can be very, very powerful. This holster is good for all 3 basic styles of traditional shooting, and it runs anywhere from $300 to $400. It's got some light tooling on it as well. The next holster I'd like to show you is called a twisting rig. While much effort was taken to make this keep it consistently Western looking, this is sometimes referred to as the funny car of fast draw holsters. It is also steel lined through the belt and the shank, but as you can see, the shank is considerably longer. Also, the mouth of the holster is a lot more open to allow the gun to set in it almost sideways, and when the gun's being drawn, the gun is twisted, which levels the barrel much, much faster than drawing the gun straight back and out. Hence the term twisting for the style that you'll see later and for this type of holster. This holster also runs somewhere around $300, $400, and this holster has one purpose only: to draw and fire a single action revolver as fast as humanly possible. The last holster I'd like to show you is from Alfonso of Hollywood. This one's called the A3 Bob James Economy Rig. This is a very comfortable, light holster that can be used also in fast draw or in cowboy action as well. It comes in a number of different colors and it starts at $250. This one is the 2001 model and can be purchased through Alfonso of Hollywood. There are 2 basic types of ammunition used in fast draw. One is wax, the other is blanks. These are .45 caliber super speed wax. They're designed to go into these shells. These shells are drilled in the back end to accept a shotgun primer. You merely push the wax in on the front end, take the shotgun primer, drop it in, place it in the gun, fire it, take the shell out, and remove the old primer, and you're ready to load again. These shotgun primers will push these wax bullets out about 650 feet a second, and very accurately, I might add. For those who want a little more punch, we have the same type of case designed for a .22 blank. As you can see, the .22 is a rimfire cartridge, so these shells have to be drilled offset. Sometimes these have a little trouble going off, so a lot of shooters will prefer to stay with this, but the .22 blank will push this wax bullet out closer to 1,000 feet a second. Competition lately has been leaning towards powder behind the wax, and these have to be factory loaded. These in particular are loaded by 10x ammunition, and I'll be using these through most of the demonstration. This has 6 grains of 4F black powder behind it, and I'll push the wax out about the same speed as the .22 blank, but it has a little bit more loud sound to it and a little bit more smoke, which has a greater appeal to spectators. These wax bullets must impact the target in order to register time. The other type of ammunition that we use are called blanks. This is the full .45 long Colt case filled with powder. It's divided into 2 levels. The first level I call the kicker. It's about 10 grains of 4F black powder. I use a wooden dowel to hand pack this powder, but not real super tight. Then we top the case off with 1F black powder and tap the side of the case with the wooden dowel. The 1F is a bigger granule, and this is what breaks the balloon when it comes out of the barrel. By tapping the case just gently, it settles the powder and leaves just enough room for the wad. These wads are cut from milk carton with a 1/2-inch leather punch. I usually take the milk carton and cut it into panels and run 2 or 3 pieces together, hit the punch with a hammer, and it cuts out perfect wads every time. The reason I use milk carton is because there's a wax coating on the paper and it helps it adhere to the inside of the case, so when you have 2 or 3 rounds in your gun and shoot them individually, one of the wads won't fall out and thereby giving you an empty blank. There are a number of different recipes and all the top shooters have their own, and some of these recipes can be accessed through the World's Fast Draw Association website. There are many different types of targets that we use in the sport of fast draw, but to keep it simple, I've chosen these two. This one's called the Blocker Wax Silhouette, developed by Ted Blocker. It's 20 by 40, and it's always 2 feet off the ground to maintain consistency at all competitions. In the center, we've cut a 3-inch circle out and put plexiglass to protect the light. As you can see, this hood covers the light so no other light sources get to it to make any reflections, and this is the sound impact. When the wax bullet hits the target, that speaker will pick up the sound and shut the timer off. When the light comes on, you shoot at it. The wax bullet hitting the target will leave a mark. The target's coated with a very light, thin coating of lithium grease that can be erased after each shooter, similar to when combat shooters paint their targets. This target is used in lots of different types of wax competition. This target is called a 4-inch balloon head. It's a 10-inch aluminum plate with an exact 4-inch circle cut into it. The balloon is mounted from the back end, and each competitor gets the same 4 inches to look at. The balloon holds down this micro switch. All this is connected to the timing equipment, and when the clock operator gives the command shooter on the line, shooter set, the clock will take over. The light will come on, indicating it's time to draw and fire. When the light comes on, the shooter will draw and break the balloon, popping the micro switch open and shutting the timer off. When that micro pops, it reads in hundredths and thousandths of a second on the timing equipment. You must break the balloon to register a shot. Later in the video, I'll be using several of these targets to see how many shots we can fire in under 1 second. Timers have come a long way in the sport of fast draw. One of the first ones developed is this Microtron. This is the clutch-driven timer, and this hand, one complete sweep, is a full second. As you can see, the timer's hooked up to a light, and there are sound speakers on either side of the timer. So when the light comes on and the shooter fires, the sound shuts the time off. That was approximately 47 hundredths of a second. These timers were very efficient in their day, but the problem that they had is they only read the first time. So if two shooters were shooting against each other, only the winner would know what his time was. The loser had absolutely no idea. Timers have evolved considerably since then. The next generation of timers were digital. This particular one's called a Dan Lindsay, sometimes also called a John Phillips because John Phillips sold them a lot. The timer has a tremendous advantage over this timer here in as much as it has 2 readouts. So not only could the winning shot get recorded, but the loser would also be told what his time was. This timer also reads in hundredths and thousandths of a second. Another advantage this timer has over this one is that it has its own random. The clock operator would merely give the command, shooter on the line, shooter set, release the button, the timer will take over and give the shooter a random light between 2 and 5 seconds. When the light comes on, the shooter will draw and fire, hitting the target and recording a time. This timer will record 2 targets at one time, so 2 people can shoot a man against man or elimination style. And this timer is still used in competition today, even though it was developed over 20 years ago. The next timer I want to show you is the Speed Timer 3000. While this timer is not used in fast draw, it has a couple of advantages that these 2 other timers don't have. This is your standard combat timer and can pick up a number of shots. But the thing I like about it the most is it has this display. This display can be seen from up to 50 feet away with the naked eye, so spectators can pick up the time easily and quickly. The timer functions off sound as opposed to the light as in fast draw. Once you hear the beep, every sound it hears, it records. And as it records, you can see them register on the display. I'll be using this timer later on in the demonstration to shoot a number of different shots as fast as I possibly can. I'd like to explain some terms I'll be using throughout the video. The first one is DLF. That stands for draw, lock, and fire. A good, consistent method that works with all 3 traditional styles of fast draw. Simply draw the gun, lock it on target, and fire it. This is a safe and accurate way to start your fast draw training. The next term is called locomotive action. Think in terms of an old steam engine on a train. The arm pulled the wheel back first and then pushed it forward. By drawing the gun back just a little bit, it helps to level the gun. The quicker the gun is level, the faster you can commit the gun to a full DLF or pull the gun straight back into more of a speed draw. By leveling the gun with the locomotive action, you increase your on-target time. From here, the gun is on target to the full extension of the DLF, so anywhere in between, you're more likely to hit the target. By increasing your on-target time, you lessen the chance of getting a miss. Some shooters get in a big hurry when they first start fast draw, and they tend to want to pull the gun out as fast as they can. By doing it that way, the gun's off, and on target right about there. If you're going to draw it this high, you might as well get a sight picture. So remember, just a little backward motion to help level the gun, and then either continue with your DLF or draw the gun back into a speed draw. The World's Fast Draw Association requires that you stand within a 2-foot square while shooting traditional competition. There are a number of different stances in fast draw, but I'm going to focus on the two most popular. The first one is called toe-to-toe. Simply step up to the line, feet about shoulder width apart, and your toes pointing towards the target. You don't want to lock your legs in real stiff and straight, but rather bend them slightly. This gives you a little snap with your hip that'll help you to draw the gun. This is a very comfortable stance and is very, very popular with most thumbers because of that snap that they can get. The next stance I'd like to talk about is what I call heel to toe. Simply place your left heel in the back left corner and your right toe in the top right corner. Bend your knees and keep the weight centered. This particular position allows you to thrust the hip more, and that thrusting will move the holster out of the way for you. As you can see, with a little snap, I can literally almost draw the gun without ever grabbing it. This position will give you a lot of thrust and forward movement, which will aid in your draw. Either one of these stances are very, very consistent, and I suggest you use the one that is most comfortable for you. Before we get into the 3 basic styles, I'd like to start with hand position. The way I teach generally is to hang on to the gun until you're given the command, shooter on the line, shooter, set. Upon hearing set, leave yourself about a ½ inch between you and the gun. Doing this consistently will always let you know where the gun is. This hand position works for all 3 basic styles. Let's start with ram fanning. Ram fanning is the simplest and safest method of teaching fast draw. It requires no trigger control whatsoever. Once given the command with the light, you grab the gun and hold the trigger down. You bring the gun to the left hand and the left hand fires the gun for you. Nice and safe right out in front. It also gives you a good consistent shot. As you can see, my finger is taped heavily with masking tape because I hit the hammer so hard with this finger. I don't recommend hitting the hammer with the palm of the hand because the palm of the hand will sometimes tend to knock the gun off, or some people will get excited and hit it and whomp it real hard. By using the middle finger, you can just brush on past the hammer nice, quick, and easy. Make sure you hold the trigger down with ram fanning, because if you don't, the gun will cock, but it will not fire. Let's take a look at a couple of good, clean draws. As you can see, I'm bringing the gun to the hand and then fanning it. Now let's take a look at some live wax fire.
Shooter on line. Shooter, set. 33. 33 hundredths of a second. Shooter on line. Shooter, set. 31 hundredths of a second. Shooter on line. Shooter, set. 33 hundredths of a second.
Let's talk about thumbing. Thumbing is more of an art form in fast draw, and it's a lot more difficult. Thumbing and slop tacking both require trigger control. Unlike ram fanning, where you simply hold the trigger down, in this case, when you draw the gun, you've got to time that trigger to go off when you're on target. There are a number of different ways to thumb, but the one I prefer the most is what I call squeeze thumbing. I actually envision in my mind the thumb and these 2 fingers coming together, and this coming together action cock the hammer and gets the gun about half drawn out. Let's take a look at this. By squeezing these 2 motions together, I can get the gun cocked and halfway out, committing the gun to the DLF, and then exercising trigger control and firing the gun. Let's try to slow this down and take a look at it. This can also be done in what I call a speed draw. Instead of committing the gun forward and firing, if you use that locomotive action you learned at the beginning of the video and commit the gun back, you can fire it here. This requires a lot more practice, but can be just as consistent as the DLF.
Shooter online. Shooter, set. 36 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 35 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 39 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 27 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 26 hundredths of a second.
The last traditional style I want to show you is called slap cocking. In my opinion, is the fastest and most competitive method of shooting. Slap cocking involves cocking the gun in the holster with the left hand. Here again, you're using the middle finger as opposed to the palm of your hand. By cocking the gun in the holster, you minimize the chance of getting a half cock or a misfire that you can do easily with thumbing. That's why thumbing requires so much practice. Literally cock the gun and draw it with the right hand and fire it. There again, you're exercising trigger control. Let's take a look nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. This, of course, is the DLF method, and that shot is consistently around 50 hundredths of a second. But slap cocking can also be done in the speed version. Instead of committing the gun forward, again you drive the gun back into your hip here. When your barrel hits your body, that's your indication to squeeze the trigger and fire. So this allows you to time the shot much more consistently. We can do it real slow, or we can do it much, much faster. Either way, slap cocking, DLF, or speed draw is the most competitive form of shooting. Let's have a look at some live fire wax slap cocking.
Shooter online. Shooter, set. 38 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 36 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 37 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 27 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 29 hundredths of a second. Shooter online. Shooter, set. 24.
This part of the video I like to call the do's and don'ts. One of the don'ts is don't use exaggerated stances. Sometimes people will get up on one toe and slam their foot down when they draw, or they'll put all their weight forward or all the weight backward. Either of these two are very uncomfortable. You need a nice, comfortable stance, something that gives you a lot of balance, a stance that you can stay in for at least 10 seconds without your legs starting to tremble and vibrate. Because if you're thinking about that, you're not thinking about your reaction for the draw. The other don't is don't use excessive body movement, such as you see in the movies. All this crouching and movement makes the draw more difficult to make consistent. The less you do, the less you have to train to be consistent every single time. The fastest draw you'll ever have is the smoothest one. So don't put a lot of excessive body movement into it. The only do I have for you today is dry fire. I can't stress the importance of dry fire practice. I've taken a standard coat hanger and formed it into about a 7-inch circle. And I've bent it so it will stay up, taped on the top of this table. In your case, this should be taped on top of your dresser at home with the mirror in front of you so you can watch what you're doing. The object of this drill is to draw the gun and put it in the hoop every single time. Just like that. If you can hear the draw, then something's wrong. You should never hear or any sound like that. That means you're making contact with the holster. The gun should be drawn cleanly and smoothly and placed in the ring without hitting anything. If you find yourself hitting the bottom of the ring, that generally means that you're dragging the barrel and not using enough locomotive action to get that barrel level. If you find yourself hitting the side of the ring, that means that you're coming across your body with the draw, much like when you punch. Try to keep the draw nice and straight, in line with your arm, your shoulder, and the holster, like this. Remember, 10 good draws is worth 100 bad draws. I hope this information will prove helpful in your fast draw training. Email any questions you might have and I'll get to as many of them as I can. Now it's time for my favorite part of the video, the speed demonstration. Hi, this group of targets is what I like to call the Fast Four. The object is for me to draw this single action revolver from the holster and shoot this one first, bypass this one, go to the one on the right, move up to the top one, and then come down to the center, all in under 1 second. Let's give it a shot and see how it goes.
Shooter online. Shooter, set. .81.
81 hundredths of a second for 4 shots with a single action revolver. Don't try that one at home.
Shooter online. Shooter, set.
That was 4 shots in 75 hundredths of a second. In any type of shooting, there are 2 basic components to the draw: the physical act of drawing the gun and the reaction time. Whether you react to a light on the target like we do in fast draw or to a beep as in combat, the 2 combined forces will create the fastest, smoothest, most consistent draw. We've already gone over the 3 basic styles of traditional style fast draw shooting, so what we're going to do now is test my reactions. I'm going to take the gun, cock it, point it at the target, and when the light comes on, I'm going to squeeze the trigger and get merely reaction time. There'll be no draw involved. I'm going to do this 3 times. That way we can take an average of just my reactions alone. Here we go.
Shooter online. Shooter, set. 18.1.
That was 18.1 hundredths of a second for me to see the light, react to it, and just squeeze the trigger. We'll do it 2 more times and get an average.
Shooter online. Shooter, set. 18.5.
I put that wax bullet right on top of the first one. Here we go, 1 more.
Shooter online. Shooter, set. 17.0.
Okay, we're going to take an average of those 3, and now we're going to narrow down to just the draw time. I'm going to introduce you to something we call the button that will allow us to time just how long it takes to draw and fire a single action revolver. As I told you earlier, this holster is designed purely to go as fast as humanly possible with a single action revolver. What I'm going to do now is use a style called twisting, where I'm going to draw and fan the gun out of the holster right over the top. In order to time this draw, I'm going to use what we call the button. This button is connected to the timer, and when you hold the button down, it shuts the timer off and the light will go off. As soon as you release the button, the timer will start and it won't stop until you impact the target. Once the target's hit, it'll register and tell you in hundredths and thousandths of a second how fast it takes me to merely draw the gun. I've seen this button demonstrated in different locations incorrectly in the past. Sometimes people will put their pinky finger on it, and this gives you the ability to draw the entire gun before letting go. The correct way to use it is using the finger that's going to fire the gun, the trigger finger. By placing your trigger finger on the button, when you draw and fire and release, you'll get an actual draw time only. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, let's put my finger on the button and twist and find out how fast it takes. That was 0.067 hundredths of 1 second. We're going to do that 2 more times so we can get an average.
.060.
.060 hundredths of 1 second. One more time for our average. 0.062 hundredths of 1 second. As you can see, this draw is fairly consistent for time. Now we'll combine the two and see if we can match the reaction and draw time combined in an actual reacted shot. My reactions were on the average about 17, the draw was 6, so theoretically I should be able to draw and fire in 23 hundredths of a second. Let's see what happens.
Draw line. Shooter, set.
That was 24.9 hundredths of a second. Let's see if we can do it again.
Shooter on line. Shooter, set.
24.3 hundredths of a second. So I'm pretty close to the combined draws when I put them both together as opposed to their separate entities. This is as fast as you'll ever get to shoot. Probably the oldest trick in fast draw. So take a styrofoam cup and put it on the top of your hand and shoot it to smithereens with a blank. Well, while that's a good trick, I'm going to try to take it a step further. I'm going to take an aluminum can and load it with a wax bullet and a blank. I'm going to try to tip the can and shoot a wax bullet through the bottom of the can. One projectile instead of a blank with something. I had to actually put an ounce of dirt in here so the thing would fall a little faster. Because it's a little bit too light, I tend to shoot underneath it. Let's give it a shot and see if I can get it. That one looks like it went right through the center. Thank you, Chester. As you can see, I put one right through the bottom. That can falls a little teeny bit faster than a styrofoam cup, and with a single projectile, I would say that was a little bit more difficult shot. There's one to try for your next show. Thank you. Hi, remember these 4 targets? We called them the Fast 4. Well, my dad asked me, son, do you think maybe you could get 5 in under a second? And always being a good boy and doing like my dad told me, we added a 5th target. So let's give this a try and see if I can get all 5 of these with a single action in under 1 second.
Shooter on line. Shooter, set.
88 hundredths of a second, that's what I did it in. Whew. That was a good one.
Hello, I'm Canada Kid. You know, I get asked so much how to improve shooting techniques, it's unbelievable. Some of the things I show you here you may not want to do. Some of the things you may not even like or agree with, so be warned now. However, if you learn from this information, you can't help but get the results that you desire. I started shooting IPSC about 20 years ago, and it was very tough for me when I started out. I was young and I was very broke. I remember the days of sharing a hotel room with 4 or 5 other guys just so we could afford to shoot the match. More than once I had to sell whatever prize I won just to buy gas to get back home. And there's nothing quite like flying to a match and having to hitchhike between the hotel and the range. I used to cast my own bullets and load in a single stage press. I've practiced in rain, sleet and snow. I shot until my hands bled from the sharp checking on my gun. I missed out on family gatherings, holidays and other things that most normal people do. One thing I'm sure of, all the top shooters, be it IPSC, cowboy or whatever, they've paid a price because nothing's free. Earning a living shooting seemed impossible. It would be much easier to make money elsewhere and then enjoy my hobby. It certainly takes the pressure off, and we're going to get back to relaxing your mind later. Your physical condition is one of the most important attributes for your shooting performance. I don't care how old you are, how much you weigh, or if you drink like a failure. It doesn't matter if you smoke 2 packs a day. The only thing that's important is that you're willing to change. Remember, there are many people with many more problems than you have that have overcome them. If you smoke, you made the decision to smoke, and if you overeat, you made the decision to do that. If you're an alcoholic, it's because you choose to be. These are all choices that you've made. But the good news is, if you're not happy with how you live or who you are, you can make a decision and change that too. Most of the guys that win matches have a fitness program. I do Tai Bo about 3 times a week and also take vitamin and mineral supplements. Even if you have a good diet, you can't get enough nutrition from food alone. Oh yeah, people who tell you working out is fun are liars, but they're trying to help you. I get told that when our time is up, there's nothing we can do about it. That may be so, but if you're only in this world for a little while, don't you want to be the best you can be? You may not be able to prevent an accident, but at least you know you're not going to drop dead trying to make it up the steps of your house. You know what, people? I think what we've covered here is more important and beneficial to your shooting than practice. I know what I've said here is going to help some of you. I'd appreciate hearing from you. The fact that you're watching this at all tells me you really want something better. If you are an inexperienced shooter, I recommend you enroll in a class. This video is for entertainment and to be used as information, not as shooting instruction. If at all possible, get in a class taught by one of the champions. Evil Roy, San Juan, China Cap, TG Reaper, Tequila, and there's many more. Take a class at every opportunity. It's worth every cent. If it's not available to you, or maybe not in your budget at this time, most gun clubs have instructors as well. Your equipment has to be in perfect working order. If your shotgun doesn't eject, say, 1 out of 20 times, in a match with 40 shots, that's 2 malfunctions. If they take 5 seconds to clear, that's like 2 misses. I often see folks missing targets, not know where their bullets are going. Now we're talking about 10-inch targets, 10 yards away. What is happening here? You should know exactly where your guns are hitting. Exactly. If you ask what's good enough, there is no good enough. Your guns have to be sighted in perfectly. This includes your shotgun. Sure enough, next match I attend, there'll be someone that'll miss a few and then say to the posse, where am I hitting? Your holsters have to be able to retain your guns while you're running, but you don't want them so tight that you slow down your draw. In the early IPSC days, we used to shake the holster upside down, and if the gun fell out, the holster wasn't tight enough. Of course, later on, in the Steel Challenge days, we would hold the butt of the gun, and if the holster didn't fall off, it was too tight. You have to find a happy medium there, something that will retain your gun and still be able to give you a quick draw. The same applies to shotgun shells. You want them to be easy to pull out of the belt, but you don't want them so loose that when you get to a part of the stage, you find a scattered trail of ammo behind you. Always wear proper eye and ear protection whenever you're shooting. Has anyone ever told you if you just learn to hit the targets, the speed will come by itself? This is so funny. Just where do they think the speed will come from? Do they think people wake up one day and be faster? You have to understand what causes a missed target is not the speed. It's a loss of focus or lack of concentration. If you want to shoot fast, you have to practice shooting fast. It's not going to happen by itself. Here's how I increased my speed drawing a gun. Now this was with the modified 38 Super, but the principles are the same. I would go through the basic draw step by step just to get the feel of it. Then I would stand over a bed or a mattress just so the gun had a soft place to land in case I dropped it. And I did drop it. I'd think about the start signal, not about the draw itself, just the start signal. As soon as I heard the beep, I would just imagine the gun in my hand. There was no conscious thought involved in my hand going to get the gun, snatch it from the holster, and point it at the target. Now we're going to start with the draw. And one of the most important things for the draw is to make sure you position yourself facing the target. Your stance is important so that when you bring your gun out, it's ready pointed at the target. You don't have to bring it out and move it over to the target. It's going to depend on which gun you're shooting first, how you stand. I prefer to always shoot my cross-draw pistol first. That way I never get to the end of a stage and not sure which one I shot and which one I didn't. Certain stage circumstances may prevent you from doing that all the time, but whenever possible, I shoot my cross-draw first. The other reason I shoot it first is because I can holster it with my left hand, which I'll show you in a little bit. The basic draw from the strong side, I break it into 5 steps. First step, get a grip on the stock of the pistol, keep your finger alongside the holster, and your non-shooting hand will come out just in front of your stomach. Second step, the gun comes clear of the leather. Third step, your hands come together in front of you. Your finger's still off the trigger, and at this point you can cock the hammer back. Never pull the hammer back before you're at this position. You have to always be pointed downrange before you cock the hammer. Okay, and step 4, you extend your arms and it comes up onto the target, your fingers on the trigger. And step 5, the gun fires. If your stance is correct, as soon as the gun comes up, as soon as your sight hits the target, the shot should break. So, okay. As soon as it comes up to target, I know when I bring my hands up that I'm going to be pointed right at the center of the target. In cowboy action shooting, quite often you'll have to reload your gun. Sometimes you'll have to reload the whole cylinder, but more often than not, you only load one round. To do that, you rotate the cylinder so that you have the empty chamber, put the cartridge in, you just go 4 clicks and close the gate. And then you come up to target and fire the shot. Okay, and once you get a little faster at it, put your shell in, 4 clicks, and fire the shot.
In cowboy action shooting, it's not just how fast you can draw your gun that'll save you valuable time, but how fast you can reholster it. There's an easy technique when you're shooting the 6 guns back to back. The first shooter I've seen do this was the 1999 world champion San Juan. I caught up to San Juan just out of church and asked him if he would demonstrate this for you.
Hello, I'd like to first of all welcome all of you. Before you start shooting, I've got a couple tips for you. One is take a moment and thank the Lord that you live in a free land where you're able to exercise your right to enjoy firearms. And after you've done that, then go out and practice. One little tip we'll do today is drawing and reholstering your pistols. Do the first pistol, you draw, hand up, pull high, turn the pistol, cock early, push away, reach across the top here, here. This one goes in, this one comes out, push out for the next shot. We'll do that like we normally would. Ready? That's simple. Good shooting.
If you happen to shoot 2 strong side holsters with both guns facing forward, it'll be totally different. Evil Roy is the current world champion and he's developed a draw that's both smooth and fast. Here's Evil Roy to explain it.
I'm Evil Roy, SAS 2883. I want to show you what I've figured out on transferring the left strong side to the right hand. And I went to the 2 strong side holsters just to eliminate the cross draw twist that you have to do, and also just eliminate one possibility of a stage DQ if you don't get turned around downrange. And the way I figured this out is that I just try to get my left hand on the gun and not change positions as it comes into my right hand. So I grab it pretty much like the left hand's going to be, and then just transfer it to my right hand and sweep the trigger, hammer back and shoot. So when I put it back, I choke up just a little on the gun to put it back. But I try not to get in where I have to re-grip it and all that. My hand just stays how it's going to be. Try to get not any pause in the transfer at all. And there's usually about 0.2 of a second difference between the left hand and the right hand, which is about right. And I'm still working on the left hand. Okay, just to give you a picture of the right side of this, so you can see what the right hand does. As the gun comes out, you got a grip on the pistol. And what you do is you straighten your fingers so the grip's completely exposed to your right hand, and then just push it out and sweep the hammer back and try not to pause as it comes out. Do it again. And what you don't want to do is when you're coming out of this holster is catch it by the hammer and lift it with the hammer. Obviously you don't want to cock the gun. You got to not touch the top. You touch the top after it clears the holster, your thumb, and come out and sweep the hammer and shoot.
Usually in cowboy action shooting, you'll fire 5 shots out of your pistol at a time. So here we have 5 targets set up, and what's going to make you fast to hitting these targets is not how fast you move the gun, but how fast you recock it. So once your hammer drops, it should be recocked before you get to this target. If you can do that, cock it as part of your shot. When you get to the next target,
the gun is ready to fire. What this does, it makes your single action pistol as fast as a semi-automatic, because you can't shoot any faster than when you get to the target. In theory, if you use a delay time when the gun is in recoil to recock the hammer, you can hit the targets at the same speed or faster than what you could with an auto. Demonstrating this is very difficult, but thanks to the hat cam, you can see it happen. Now let's slow down the speed so you can actually see it. For each shot, the gun is ready to fire before it settles on the next target. Watch TG Reaper as he shoots 12 rounds from 2 guns in under 3 seconds. Another critical step is not to start to move the revolver until a shot is fired. There is a delay between when you pull the trigger and when the shot fires, and that is the time it takes for the hammer to fall. Do not move the gun until it starts to move. If you tell someone you missed an 18 by 24 inch rectangle with a shotgun, they might want to get you to a doctor. But it happens. It's happened to me and probably you. Why is that? It's usually not trigger control like a rifle or handgun. China Camp is a 5-time world champion, and he's kind enough to share this with us.
One of the most common problems I see with new shooters when they start shooting a shotgun is that they get to be a little timid with the recoil. And when they do that, they lift their head on the second shot. Once they lift their head, the barrel comes up. So if you bring your shotgun up, close it, fire, lock it again, load another round, and lift your head, because your recoil sensitive, the barrel automatically comes up, and most of the time you'll shoot over the target. So the most important thing is, when you're shooting, keep your cheek down, rotate with the gun, and you'll feel a lot better about hitting your target.
I think they call it a Winchester 97 because there's about 97 different ways to load it. I prefer to load 2 at a time, and I will always take out 2 rounds. And my finger just goes over the top of the 2 rounds and holds them like so. The first one's dropped into the chamber. I hold the second one in my hand underneath the slide. After I fire, it's just a matter of rolling it in, closing it, and firing again. Shotguns always start on the stage empty. There's nothing, no rounds in the chamber and no rounds in the magazine, and you have to pick them up and load them. For Canada Girl, we've shortened the stock so it fits her, and this is very important that the stock fits you with the shotgun, otherwise it's going to really beat you up. Okay, see, all her weight is forward, so when the gun recoils, it doesn't push her back. Cisco likes to load from the strong side and is very effective with this strategy. And here's how he does it.
Grabbing 2 shells at one time, I drop one in the chamber, slide it forward, fire with my middle finger, eject, slide the other shell forward, and fire again. Let's speed that up and show you what it looks like in normal speed. That's double loading with the right hand.
Single loading is probably the most consistent way to load, but there's always a way to give it a power boost. TG Reaper has the quickest 3 shots I've ever seen. This is absolutely incredible. Watch close.
Oftentimes during my dry fire practice sessions, I'll practice many different things. I'll practice picking the gun up off the table. I'll practice picking the gun up from a staged upright position. I'll practice approaching the staged gun and picking it up from several different stage positions, and whatever I can throw into the mix. When I'm trying to develop a technique, I try to remove all those variables. So when I'm practicing my 3-shot burst, what I do is I stand over the gun as though I had already approached the gun and already had the shells in my hand. The grab is a very important piece of this technique. So I will not start with the shells in my hand, but I will start with my hands on the shells. In practicing the 3-shot burst, what I would do is I would practice several of them slow for form, like this. Those are the 3 types of loads. Gradually during the course of my practice session, I would want to build up to full speed. The main thing to remember is if you think about speed, you're probably going to go slower and you're probably going to fumble. You want to be very smooth, you want to economize your motion, and you want to make sure that the rounds go cleanly into the ejection port. If you push and try and do this fast, you will fumble almost every time. So let's try it a little smoother instead of faster. Again, I'm starting with my hands on my shells. And that's what the 3-shot burst technique looks like. I've seen many techniques that allow a shooter to get 3 rounds down range, and you have to fire 3 before you can fire 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I do not think there is a faster technique available for loading the Model 97 Winchester shotgun, but I'll let you decide. We'll go to the range, I'll put some rounds down range on the timer, and we'll see how everything sorts out. Until then, good shooting. Okay folks, we're out at the range. We're going to try some runs live fire now. I'd like to demonstrate the 3-shot burst technique to you. I'll be picking the gun up off the table and we'll see what we can do today.
Rifle shooting is very similar to the pistol shooting. The biggest secret is to activate the lever between the targets. I know this sounds simple, but very few of you are doing it. Use the same strategies I explained with the revolver. As soon as your sights get to the target, the rifle should be ready to fire. Make sure your rifle ammo velocity is at least 900 feet a second. Rifle targets can be out a farther distance, and it has to shoot flat so you don't have to compensate for it. I always bring the rifle to my shoulder before I activate the lever. I think it's faster and it's definitely more stable than activating it while the rifle is in motion. When picking up long guns, try to bend your knees and have your shooting grip right away.
When you start a stage with your rifle, the chamber is always empty and the hammer's down on the empty chamber. The magazine is usually filled with as many rounds as you need to complete the stage. With the rifle, we want to turn this gun into semi-automatic as well. And that means you want to lever the action before you get to the next target. When you first address the targets, I know a lot of people like to lever it on their way up to the shoulder. And I've timed it and I find out not quite as fast as if you get right up to your shoulder and then you can start. Okay, when we drop the hammer, again you want to lever it before you get to the next target. As soon as the shot breaks, you're on to the next one. I like to keep my thumb on the side of the receiver. That way you can move the lever quite a bit faster than if you wrap your whole hand around it and you have to unwrap it and wrap it again. And again, if you have to load the rifle on the clock, usually if it's only a couple of rounds, the way to do it, drop one in the chamber and the other one in the magazine and you're ready to shoot. When you get to the competition, you want to leave your problems behind you. If you have something going on with your relationship you're not happy with, something in your occupation, or maybe you got to go to the bathroom real bad, that's not really good when you're getting ready to shoot. You have to have a clear mind and be ready for what's in front of you. You have to know the stage inside out. You have to know how many rounds you're going to shoot with each gun, how many to load, which targets to shoot with which gun, which order to shoot your guns. which order to shoot the targets. So it's important that you read the stage and understand it. If you're not ready to shoot or you're not fully prepared, step down, let some of the other shooters go first. And once you're ready, then you can always go back and go do your shooting. I love the way they do it in California. You just walk up and shoot as soon as you're ready. And that way, the people that want to shoot first can go first, the people who want to shoot last can go last, and you just shoot basically when you're ready. While you're shooting, you also want to know where to start and where to finish. You don't want to lose count of how many shots you fired. And the way I like to count my shots is in groups, rather than single shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count it in groups, 3, 3, 3, or 2, 2, 2, depending on the different stage. And you want to count your hits as you're hitting them, rather than your misses. Because it's very negative to be thinking about a mistake you made when you're trying to complete the stage.
A strong mental preparedness is the key to great performance. We've touched on physical condition and skills, but without proper focus, you've unleashed a rebel without a clue. Notice how most of the top guns are successful at whatever else they do in life? I think it boils down to desire and dedication. They work hard to achieve their goals, be it work, shooting, or other activities. If you model yourself after successful people, you can't help but become that way yourself. Do you ever have a visit with someone and only a short period of time you feel like you've been hit by a truck? These people tell you they have no money, their kids are pregnant, they lost their job, or the car won't run. I'll tell you right now, if you want to improve your life in a positive way, get away from these people. And don't feel guilty about it. Most of them are the way they are because that's the way they want to be. I always believe in helping others, but you have to help yourself first. Why do you think they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first? You have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Now your subconscious mind can't distinguish between do's, don'ts, or prefixes. When you tell yourself, don't miss, your subconscious mind only hears miss. How many times have you done that to yourself? If you think to yourself, hit the target, it's much more positive. If you miss, think of it as a didn't hit. Now your subconscious only hears hit. What you want to do is erase descriptive negative words from your vocabulary. Replace words like tired, run down, and nervous with not quite awake, unalert, or unrelaxed. Your mind will hear the awake, alert, and relaxed. Remember that thoughts are things. Choose a goal for yourself and make a plan of how you'll accomplish it. You know what a goal is without a plan, don't you? It's called a wish. Also, make sure your goal isn't something you have control over. For example, if your goal is to win a match, how can you achieve that? What if someone shoots better than you? Instead, your goal should be for progress, not for match finishes. A positive attitude is exciting and motivating. The rest of your life starts today. You may be thinking to yourself, do I have to do all this stuff? Of course not. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to work tomorrow. And you don't have to drive on the right side of the road. But these are all great suggestions.